Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video from our channel, Olden Goldens. In this video, we'll be highlighting American celebrities who have passed away in the last few days, along with other notable figures from around the world. Before we proceed, we kindly ask you to show your love and support by giving this video a like. It means a lot to us.
James Earl Jones, the revered actor who voiced Star Wars villain Darth Vader, starred in Field of Dreams, and many other films and Broadway shows and is an EGOT winner, died this morning at his home in Dutchess County, New York. He was 93. Widely regarded as among the world's great stage and screen actors, Jones is one of the few entertainers to have won the EGOT, though his Academy Award was honorary. Jones has received 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Daytime Emmy, a Spoken Word Grammy Award in 1977, and 3 Tony Awards. The actor amassed nearly 200 screen credits during his brilliant 60-year career, starting some early 60s TV guest roles in Stanley Kubrick's 1964 classic Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. He probably is best known for his voice role as the dastardly Darth Vader in George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. He also reprised the villainous role in Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Star Wars, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker in TV's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Star Wars Rebels. Movie fans will remember such chilling, immortal Vader quotes as, "When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. I find your lack of faith disturbing." And of course, "No, I am your father." Also among Jones's best-loved roles is Terrence Mann, the reclusive 1960s author who reluctantly teams with Kevin Costner's Ray Kinsella to unlock the latter's visions of baseball lore in Field of Dreams. Based on the 1982 novel Shoeless Joe, the film from writer-director Phil Alden Robinson tugged, no, yanked, at heartstrings with its sweet nostalgia, high-concept plot, father-son dynamics, and general excellence. It earned 3 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. It lost to Driving Miss Daisy, a film whose Broadway adaptation starred Jones as Hoke Colburn, the character played by Morgan Freeman on the big screen. Jones also voiced the Lion King's Mufasa in both the 1994 animated pick and 2019 hybrid remake. Among his dozens of other films are The Bingo Long-Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, A Piece of the Action, Conan the Barbarian, Soul Man, Coming to America, The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Sneakers, The Sandlot, Clear and Present Danger, Judge Dredd, Gang Related, and Coming Second America. He also lent his sonorous voice to the famous This Is CNN promo campaign for the cable news network and recurring as the narrator on Third Rock from the Sun. He also appeared on The Simpsons 3 times. Herbie Flowers, a veteran bass guitarist who worked with the likes of David Bowie, Elton John, Paul McCartney, and more, has died at the age of 86. While we knew and loved him as Uncle Herbie, his musical contributions have likely touched your lives as well, Flowers' niece's husband wrote online. He played bass on many of the songs from the golden age of rock. Throughout his decades-long career, the British musician most notably worked on tracks like Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side and Bowie's Space Oddity. He also contributed to Harry Nilsson's 1971 Nilsson Schmilsson. Not many of us get our own entry in Wikipedia as Herbie did. The family tribute continued. Herbie's musical contributions continued as he worked to involve children in music later in life. Herbie played a huge role in his niece Lorraine's life as a substitute father. Herbie walked her down the aisle at our wedding. She loved him dearly. I was blessed to have known him. We'll miss you, Uncle Herbie. Rock on. Born Brian Keith Flowers in 1938, he first began his tenure as a tuba bandsman in the Royal Air Force in the 1950s, where he served for 9 years. In the 60s, Flowers cemented his reputation as a session bassist, working for record producers like Shel Talmy, Steve Rowland, Mickey Most, and Tony Visconti. In 1969, he was one of the founding members of Blue Mink and played on Bowie's self-titled album. Per BBC, he is thought to have contributed to more than 500 hit albums by the close of the 70s. In the late 1970s, Flowers founded Sky, recording and performing with the band until 1995, during which the group released 7 albums. Following the breakup of the Beatles, Flowers worked on the solo albums of its members, including McCartney's 1984 Give My Best Regards to Broad Street, Harrison's Somewhere in England, and Starr's Stop and Smell the Roses. Other notable contributions include his work on John's Madman Across the Water in 1971, as well as Bowie's Diamond Dogs, which featured hit Rebel Rebel. His work with Bowie and Associates over the years is too long to list here, Bowie's estate wrote on Facebook in a tribute. Aside from his incredible musicianship over many decades, he was a beautiful soul and a very funny man. He will be sorely missed. Will Jennings, the 2-time Oscar and Grammy-winning co-writer of the beloved Titanic theme, Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, has died at 80 in his Texan home, according to multiple reports. Though a cause of death was not identified, those close to the composer said he had been in declining health for a number of years. The prolific lyricist was also nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song for the tunes People Alone from The Competition and Up Where We Belong from An Officer and a Gentleman, the latter of which he won. In 2006, Jennings was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In addition to his 2 Oscars, Jennings won 3 Grammys, My Heart Will Go On and Tears in Heaven, from 1992's Jennifer Jason Leigh starring cop drama Rush, for which he paired with Eric Clapton. He also won 2 Golden Globes for Best Original Song, for the Dion masterpiece in Up Where We Belong, which he co-wrote with Jack Nitzsche and Buffy Sainte-Marie. Born in Kilgore, Texas on June 27, 1944, Jennings began his Hollywood tenure with 1976's The Commitment, teaming afterward with composer Richard Kerr to pen the Barry Manilow #1 hit Looks Like We Made It. 2 years later, Manilow returned to the charts with the pair's Somewhere in the Night. The songwriter was also a frequent collaborator of Steve Winwood's, with whom he worked on several songs on the Brit Musicians album Arc of a Diver. The following year, they reunited to work on 1982's Talking Back to the Night, which included the hit Valerie. Their joint hits also spanned Higher Love and Roll With It, as well as Back in the High Life Again and Don't You Know What the Night Can Do. Jennings also wrote and had major hits with the likes of Whitney Houston, Dionne Warwick, Tim McGraw, Mariah Carey, King, Diana Ross, Faith Hill, and Jimmy Buffett, among others. Peter Wolf, former vocalist for the J. Geils Band, and friend, wrote on social media in a tribute of the songwriter, "A lot of good ones gone. A sad time, the passing of Will Jennings, a maestro, brilliant mind, and a gentle spirit. Will shared his talents with me, ever patient and generous. He was a treasured friend and teacher, enriching my life in so many ways. It was an enormous honor to have worked with such a musical genius for so many years." To quote one of his favorite poets, W.B. Yeats, "Think where man's glory most begins and ends and say my glory was I had such friends."
Laurent Tirard, the French screenwriter and director whose best-known works included adaptations of René Goscinny and Jean-Jacques Sempé's Little Nicholas and Nicolas on Holiday, has died after a long illness. He was 57. Tirard was a well-liked figure in the French film industry who made 15 features over the course of 2 decades. They also included Molière, starring Romain Duris as the historic playwright, Astérix and Obélix, God Save Britannia, with Catherine Deneuve, Fabrice Lucchini, and Guillaume Gallienne, romantic comedy Up for Love, with Jean Dujardin and Virginie Efira, and costume drama Return of a Hero, also starring Oscar winner Dujardin. He also directed early episodes of hit show Call My Agent. Tirard's films rarely debuted at film festivals, but regularly achieved healthy box office results at home, and sold well internationally too. He had a talent for capturing and retelling human stories with a lot of humor and sensibility. PR agency BCG Press wrote, in a release announcing Tirard's death on September 5th in Paris, after battling with illness. Noting how Tirard had been influenced by the work of Jacques Tati and a great admirer of Star Wars, the release recounted how the director spent time in the U.S., driven by his love of American cinema, studying filmmaking at New York University, and then becoming a script reader for Warner Brothers. On his return to France, Tirard got a job as a journalist for the Cinema Magazine studio, through which he interviewed a number of top directors, including Woody Allen, David Lynch, and Martin Scorsese. Born on February 18, 1967, he broke into filmmaking in his own right with the short film De Source Sûre, which fared Gad Elmaleh in the cast. His final film was the 2022 nun comedy Oh My Goodness, about 5 nuns who enter a cycling race with their sights set on the big cash prize to help renovate their dilapidated convent.
Screamin' Scott Simon, who played piano in the early rock revival group Sha Na Na for more than a half-century and co-wrote the song Sandy that John Travolta crooned in Grease, died September 5th of sinus cancer in Ojai, California. He was 75. His daughter Nina Simon announced the news. The elder Simon joined Sha Na Na in 1970, the year after its founding as a 1950s, early 60s rock and roll and doo-wop revivalist act in its appearance at Woodstock. He remained with the group, along with original members Donnie York and Jaco Marcelino, until it disbanded in 2022. He played piano, banging out energetic covers of Whole Lotta Shaking Going On, At the Hop and others, and was known for his signature shirt whose sleeves bore piano keys, which he often pretended to play. The group basked in the 50s and early 60s nostalgia craze of the mid-70s as America came to grips with Watergate and Vietnam. Spurred by George Lucas's American Graffiti and hit records by early rock acts, including Barry's My Ding-a-Ling and Ricky Nelson's Garden Party, the fad helped popularize the likes of oldies radio and TV shows and films including Happy Days and The Lords of Flatbush. It also gave new life to the careers of such mid-century hitmakers as Paul Anka, Neil Sedaka, The Four Seasons, and many more. Along the way, Simon and Sha Na Na hosted their own syndicated variety show from 1977 to 81 and appeared as the fictional Johnny Casino and the gamblers in the juggernaut movie musical Grease, starring Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Simon and Louis Street Louie co-wrote the ballad Sandy for the movie, which Travolta sings as he laments a drive-in date gone wrong with Newton-John's Sandy. The film's soundtrack album topped the Billboard 200 for 12 weeks and is certified 8 times platinum in the U.S. It reportedly has sold more than 30 million copies worldwide. Born on December 9, 1948, in Kansas City, Simon was consumed by music from an early age. As a teenager, he played in jug bands, founded a jazz quartet, and tried his hand at composing. His musical career continued when he moved to New York City to attend Columbia University in 1966, where he fronted a blues band called the Royal Pythons and was given the moniker Screamin' Scott by a classmate. In 1970, Simon answered an ad in the Daily Columbia newspaper about an opening for a piano player and guitarist for a campus doo-wop group. Sha Na Na had played right before Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock in August 1969, but still was relatively unknown. Sha Na Na's Teen Angel was featured in the 40th anniversary home video edition of the Woodstock movie in 2009, and its Book of Love was included in the 2014 director's cut. After Simon graduated from Columbia, he joined the band as its keyboardist and eventual managing partner. Scott later moved to Los Angeles to perform in all 96 episodes of Sha Na Na, their 30-minute variety show that featured his band and guest artists, ranging from Chuck Berry, James Brown, and Bo Diddley, to the Ramones and Billy Crystal. On tour, Sha Na Na performed with acts including John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Steve Martin, Bruce Springsteen, and Billy Joel. Although the group played primarily classic 50s and 60s songs, Simon composed multiple songs and solo albums performed by the band and himself on records and on TV. Along with Nina Simon, he is survived by his wife, Deborah Simon, daughters Morgan Simon, stepson Nick Rasheta, and granddaughters Rocket Simon and Naomi Rasheta.